Thank God for the promise of springtime. Once again, my heart will sing. There's a brand new day a-dawning. Thank God for the promise of spring. Lord, I wrote that about 30 years ago.
At least, yeah.
Though the sky
Seems gray above me,
seems gray above me,
and I can't see the light of day.
and I can't see the light of day.
There's a ray breaking through the shadows.
There's a ray breaking through the shadows, and his smile can't be far away. Our pastor used to always have us sing that on February 1st when the groundhogs saw his shadow. We'd sing, thank God for the promise of springtime.
Well, even the groundhog can't keep spring from coming. Thank goodness.
So, Laura and I got married back in 63, right?
62.
62, I'm sorry.
It's hard to remember because it was in the last few days of 62.
62. It was right during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And that's the first crisis that we went through. And then it wasn't long until the assassination of President Kennedy we went through. And those kind of moments, when you experience them together, we can tell you exactly where we were. I was in fifth grade English class when they broke in on the Kennedy assassination. And then I can remember the Martin Luther King assassination, went through that together. The Bobby Kennedy assassination. And you move up into the 70s and the Iran hostage crisis, Iranian hostage crisis. That was pretty scary. And then 89, or when at the end of the 80s, when the Soviet Union collapsed and the wall came down, that was a good crisis that happened. And then 9/11, I can remember that morning, and I can remember that week. Those are major crises, but this obviously, it's a crisis of a different kind. But you write the lyrics, but I found myself having night reciting, this old ship's been through some battles before, storms and tempests, and rocks on the shore, though the hull may be battered, inside it's safe and dry, and it will carry its cargo to the port of the sky.
I think this particular crisis, we have had other bacterial and viral, not quite pandemics, but spreads before. But according to history, I was reading this morning that things like 9/11 and assassinations and hurricanes and tornadoes and natural disasters, things that we lose our homes maybe, or our neighborhoods, tend to bring people together. And people come together to help each other and lift each other and check on each other. But historically, and we haven't had many in America, the great pandemics have made people selfish and ugly with each other. And I would love the impact of the Christian community during this pandemic to be a beautiful example of people checking on each other, caring for each other, making sure they've got groceries, making sure people have the supplies they need, and that this would go down in history as the exception to the behaviors of past pandemics. I was talking to a friend of mine today who got a whole freezer full of food, and her children insisted that she stay inside for a while, as we all are trying to do, and Bill and I are, and we're enjoying that.
We're behaving very, very, very well.
But she did not realize till she went out to get some of the food out of the freezer that she had stored, that her freezer had broken. and all the food was lost. And immediately, not only her children, but the community said, we'll replace your food. We'll go to the store for you. We don't want you to go out and be exposed to the bacteria and germs. So we'll take care of you and we'll bring the food back. And I think this is a time when, we look at neighbors who can't get to the store, people who are stuck in their apartments or whatever, and say, can I call? And thank God right now for social media. It's not always our friend, but right now we can keep in touch with each other. We can stay off of the ugly things that are on Facebook and other places that cause us to have anxiety, and instead check on old friends, send them encouraging messages, and we can even order groceries online and have them delivered to people and college students and people that are trapped.
Did you mention, but also obeying what our local authorities are saying?
Absolutely.
About respecting our distances and not passing anything that we might have on somebody else.
This is especially true for younger people who don't seem to have the coronavirus as much, and children especially don't seem to be having serious cases. But the older people that are challenged and the people that have other health problems, I think this is a time for the younger generation to find out ways to help them without taking germs into them. So this is a time to work together and be one in the body of Christ.
Let's be good citizens and let's pay attention to what they say. Let's don't watch the tube too long, because if you're like us, it's a little bit depressing. So we read. This is a wonderful opportunity to read, and to be honest with you, we're enjoying staying at home. So we thought we wanted to take this opportunity to tell you that these two old characters are having a pretty good time, and we're grateful that we are in good health. And but we got thinking, what can we do to encourage you to hang in there? And the good news from what our company in Nashville is saying, at times like this when we can't get out, they say that the people are taking advantage, and we hope and we want to encourage you to take advantage of all the free stuff that we have on YouTube. All you got to do is turn on your computer, and if you happen to live with a sweet lady like I do, she can show it to me.
I can actually make it come on.
You can actually make it come on. But this is one way we can stay in touch. And then I've put together a compilation that's going to be out in a couple of days. We're just calling it Songs of Hope in Times of Crisis, encouraging things like George Ott singing many things about tomorrow I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand. I suggested that. Then Thank God for the Promise of Spring. Only I sang it a little while ago, but Cynthia sings it much better. Cynthia Clausen sang it on one of our early videos.
It's actually on last week's blog. If some of you take my blog called Love Song to My Life, it's about spring, and I attached at the end Cynthia's beautiful cut of Thank God for the Promise of Spring. And she was sitting in that community of people in this studio right here, and the expressions on the faces of the people around her, confirming the truth, and a lot of them had lived a lot longer than Cynthia at that point. And the promise that this cycle is built into everything. I just was talking to somebody that deals with choral music, and I said, how about we have Easter in August? Well, there is no calendar that says we can't celebrate this cycle that Jesus came to model, which was birth, life, death, resurrection. And we know that resurrection is always going to produce new life, because life wins. It's built into everything. So we can celebrate that anytime.
The name of your blog is Love Song to My Life.
All one word, lovesongtomylife.com.
You need to check into that, because this little gal knows how to celebrate all kinds of moments, and she does it in this play.
The one that came out today is special because many of you have been in our concerts or on our cruises where we had Andy Andrews, and he is mainly employed to speak to large corporate groups and encourage them to live life. But I attached a little 4-minute video from Andy, basically saying we should not be afraid. Fear is not our friend. Because of the hope of the gospel, there is no end to hope, and hope is eternal.
One of the good things that crisis can do for us is push us to trust. And one of the songs that I recommended on this link, and you could go get it yourself, Ben Spear, I think. I forget who sang. Oh, Jesse Dixon sang it with him. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His word. And that's not bad. That's a good thing that could come out of this. I also thought of Buddy Green doing that beautiful song by Stephen Foster, Hard Times. Hard times come again. They're all kind of wonderful songs that's going to be born out of this period, but these are songs that came out of other crises where it just looked like there was no end to it. So be encouraged.
By the way, this bunch of songs that Bill actually put together for you, they'll be out in a couple of days, is a playlist. So in 2 more days, you can click on it and download the whole thing onto your iPod and take hope with you. I want to read you something that I wrote in another time, but I love Psalm 139, and it's been such a major psalm in our life, and I could tell you story after story where it spoke to our children. One time, our daughter Suzanne lost her glasses in the ocean, and we couldn't find them. The tide was high, and my first impression was to grab her by the hand and say, "Honey, let's pray. God knows where your glasses are." And my very next thought was, "You idiot. You not only are not going to find her glasses, and they're going to be dashed against the coral reef that was just right outside of where she lost them, but you're also going to ruin her faith, because this is not going to happen." That was my doubt came right on top of my impulse to pray. And as I was praying, holding her hand, she squeezed my hand and said, "Mom, something just hit my ankle." And she reached down and pulled out her glasses. And I don't understand that. Everything that we had in the ocean, like the beach balls and the floats we had were going downstream, down the beach as fast as we could chase them. But that was just one time when that night we read Psalm 139, and though I go to the farthest oceans, even there your hand will guide me. But this takes the line, where can I go from your presence? And this collection is our prayers. I really didn't set out to write prayers, but there was a time when I wasn't talking to God. I didn't have anything to say to Him. I didn't lose my faith. I just was at a time in my life when I didn't know how to talk to Him. And so I would find myself writing something else, a backliner for an album or a piece for a magazine or something, but I would be distracted by something around me and end up writing something on a little tablet I kept in my purse. And finally one day I realized that I was talking to somebody when I was writing these down, and they were realizations that God was talking to me when I wasn't talking to him. So that came out of this. But here is one. Where can I go from your presence, Lord? Is more than a rhetorical question these days. Where my journey has taken me has been something I could never have plotted or planned. No road club could ever have printed out maps for this trip. Yet I never left the palm of your hand. Now more than ever, I am at rest in your sweet embrace. How can this be? Turbulent times should be unsettling. Strange territory should leave us feeling bewildered and disoriented. Yet here I am, somehow at rest in your presence. This is familiar, reassuring, and peaceful. The psalmist must have learned this too. I can never be lost from your presence. If I go down to hell, your presence surrounds me like a safe harbor. If I fly through the heavens on the wings of the morning, your sweet presence puts music to the words. You are the eyes of the storm. You are the cleft in the rock. You are the whale at the bottom of the sea. I have never been here before, Lord, but I know where I am. I am with you. And I really would like to confirm that with all of you who are visiting with us today, is that no matter what happens, no matter how severe situations get, we can never be lost from his presence. And so it is his presence that gives us peace to turn around and be grateful and kind and serving to others around us. And that's really important. We're kind of liking this time together, and being sequestered is not a bad thing.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times in a way. So we wrote this one 40 years ago. Because he lives, we can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know